In an effort to try and drum up some interest for their Core Ultra 200 series, Intel has released two new models, the Core Ultra 7 270K+, and the Core Ultra 5 250K+. And in today's video, we'll be looking at the more affordable 250K+, which is coming in at an MSRP of $200 US, meaning this CPU will be going head-to-head with AMD's Ryzen 5 9600X. Both are technically 6-core processors, but whereas the 9600X has 6 cores and 12 threads, the 250K Plus packs 6 P cores and a whopping 12 E cores for a total of 18 threads, and this should make it considerably more powerful for core-heavy productivity tasks, and possibly the best value CPU we've ever seen for those types of workloads. So pretty exciting stuff, and you know what else is exciting? Today's video is brought to you by Insta360 and their Link to 4K webcam, now available in white. Building on the original Link, the Link 2 includes AI tracking for individuals and groups, auto framing, and auto gesture controls. For a webcam, it has fantastic autofocus with no focus pulsing, which is a major plus. It also now offers modes such as customizable backgrounds, adding versatility to every use case. The Link 2 is equipped with a gimbal, making it perfect for presentations, meetings, group calls, and any situation where you might be moving around. The 4K 30fps sensor offers excellent performance even in low light situations, and you can really only get better performance out of something like a digital SLR camera. With various AI features and a user-friendly desktop app, achieving the perfect presentation's a breeze. It also pairs perfectly with the new Wave speakerphone. For more information on how you can score a discount plus an Insight Pro membership, please click the link in the video description. Okay, so what is the Core Ultra 5 250K+ other than a CPU with an unnecessarily long name? Well, this isn't merely a refreshed part as we had feared, but instead an entirely new model based on the existing Arrow Lake CPU architecture. It has the same 6 P cores as the 245K, but with an upgraded E-core count to match the 265K. But more crucially, particularly for gaming, it gets the same 30 MB L3 cache as the 265K. The core clocks have also seen a few minor clock frequency tweaks. The P cores, for example, are now clocked 2% higher. There are, however, some big frequency changes here. Intel has increased the die-to-die frequency to 3 GHz. That's a whopping 900 MHz or 43% increase over the 245K. The ring clock has also been increased by 200 MHz to 3.9 GHz, so these tweaks should help boost performance quite substantially. In addition to that, the official DDR5 support has increased from the up to rating of DDR5 6400 for the original models to DDR5 7200 for these updated Plus versions. Intel's also building upon their CUDIM support by adding CQDIM or 4R CUDIM to the 200S Plus series. The 4R stands for 4 rank, and it means the memory modules have 4 distinct ranks of memory chips packed onto a single stick. This allows for incredibly dense memory, currently up to 128 GB per module. And this means when using just 2 DIMM slots, a consumer-grade motherboard can now house up to 256 GB of memory, though in the current economy, it might just be cheaper to buy another house. Given that, I'm not going to bother going into detail about this technology. It's something we'll probably cover in the future when the technology makes sense. An important update worth mentioning that's been made for the 200S Plus processors is Intel's Platform Performance Package, which you can think of as an all-in-one platform software package. And this software is essential for correct scheduling, core parking, idle power, and performance. And given that this is much like AMD's Ryzen chipset driver, we made sure to install it for all of our testing. Speaking of which, for testing all Core Ultra series processors, I've stuck with DDR5 8200 CUDIM memory, but I will include some memory scaling data as well with slower memory, I guess more affordable memory you could say. As always, there is a lot of data to go over, so we best get started. Before we jump into the blue bar graphs, here's a quick look at how the 250K Plus behaves under an all-core workload using Cinebench. We saw an average P-core frequency of 5 GHz and an average E-core frequency of 4.4 GHz, while the ring was clocked at 3.9 GHz, the die-to-die frequency at 3 GHz, and the uncore at 3.2 GHz. Then with a 360mm I/O installed, we saw a peak operating temperature of 72 degrees, And for those wondering, under the exact same test conditions, the 245K maxed out at 70 degrees. Okay, so here we're getting our first look at what makes the 250K Plus a strong offering for just $200 US, and that is its productivity performance. Now, granted, Cinebench 2026 might be the best case scenario for Intel's E-cores, but even so, when you can utilize them well, the results are mighty impressive. And in this example, the 250K Plus is 85% faster than AMD's Ryzen 5 9600X. We're also looking at a 25% increase over the 245K and 27% over the 14600K. In fact, it's just 10% slower than the 265K, so a very impressive result here. Even the single thread performance is very strong, beating the 14900K and 265K, while it was 6% faster than the 9600X and 9% faster than the 245K. Blender confirms what we saw in the Cinebench multi-core test. Here the 250K Plus is 86% faster than the 9600X, as it was able to match the 265K, also making it a massive 45% faster than the 245K. Now, more common productivity tests like compression and decompression, the 250K Plus performs really well. For compression, it was 65% faster than the 9600X and 21% faster than the 245K, so AMD is getting crushed in this workload. The same is true for decompression performance. Here the 250K Plus is 50% faster than the 9600X and 28% faster than the 245K. As impressive as this new Intel processor has been in the examples that we've seen so far, it won't dominate the Ryzen competition for all productivity workloads. And these Photoshop results are a good example of this. Here the 9600X is able to beat the 250K Plus, and by a comfortable 21% margin. The new Intel CPU, on the other hand, is just 5% faster than its predecessor, the 245K. The 250K Plus does fare better in Premiere Pro, though here it is just 7% faster than the 9600X, while offering just a slight performance increase over the 245K. Okay, time for the gaming benchmarks, and we'll start with Rainbow Six Siege. The results here, they're not amazing relative to the Ryzen competition, as the 9600X was 19% faster, so that is certainly disappointing. However, the 250K Plus is a big step up from the very underwhelming 245K, boosting performance with the maximum settings by 28%, and as a result, it was even 8% faster than the 265K. The Battlefield 6 results, on the other hand, they are very impressive, as here the 250K Plus is able to match the 14900K, which means it's only AMD's Zen 4 and Zen 5 X3D processors that are faster. Using the medium settings, the 250K Plus was also 11% faster than the 9600X when comparing the average frame rate, but more crucially, an impressive 33% faster when looking at the 1% lows. The 250K Plus was also very impressive in arc raiders, particularly when using the medium quality settings, as here it managed to edge out the 14900K, offering a 16% boost over the 9600X. The results change with the EPIC settings, and while not heavily GPU limited given what we see from the X3D processors, the added CPU load of these higher quality settings does bring the 250K Plus and 9600X closer together, with the Intel CPU now just 4% faster. Borderlands 4 is largely a GPU-limited game when testing with these more modern processors, so the 250K Plus and 9600X are very evenly matched. The biggest margin is seen when using the medium settings, though the Intel CPU was just 4% faster. Intel has an advantage in Marvel Rivals for this particular matchup. Here the 250K Plus was 12% faster than the 9600X when using the medium preset, and then 15% faster with Ultra. It was also 18% faster than the 245K when using the medium settings, so a big upgrade there. Moving on to Baldur's Gate 3, and here both the 250K Plus and 9600X are evenly matched, though with the medium settings we did see consistently stronger 1% lows from the Intel CPU. The 250K Plus was also up to 29% faster than the 245K in this example. The Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty results are quite interesting. At first, they look very competitive. The 9600X and 250K Plus are neck and neck using the medium settings, but if you pay attention to the 1% lows, you'll notice that the Intel CPU is 16% faster. Then, as we move to the ray tracing ultra data, we see that 16% margin for the 1% lows is maintained, but now the 250K Plus is also 13% faster when comparing the average frame rate. The Core Ultra 5 245K was pretty weak relative to the other modern CPUs in Counter-Strike 2, and the 250K Plus does go a long way in addressing that by boosting performance with the medium preset by 17% and then 12% with the very high settings. This saw the 250K Plus trading blows with the 9600X, so performance between the two was very similar overall. Next up, we have the CPU-heavy Space Marine 2, and in this example, the 250K Plus was just 3% faster than the 9600X when using the medium settings, but 8% faster with the Ultra settings. It's also a big upgrade over the 245K, offering 10% greater performance. Moving on to Mafia, the Old Country. The 250K Plus does very well here, beating the 9600X by an 8% margin using the medium settings, or 13% when looking at the 1% lows. We're also looking at a similar improvement over the older 245K. Unfortunately, the 250K Plus isn't as impressive in ACC, and is only offering around a 7 to 10% uplift over the 245K. This made the 9600X around 17% faster with the medium settings, or 22% faster using the Epic settings, so a strong advantage for Ryzen in this title. The opposite, however, is true for Spider-Man 2, as here the 250K Plus was found to be 9% faster than the 9600X when using the medium settings, and then an impressive 24% faster when using the ultimate ray tracing preset. The new Intel processor also performs well in Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, beating the 9600X by a 7% margin with the medium settings and then 9% with the very high preset. It was also faster than the 265K in both examples, resulting in up to an 11% increase over the 245K. Finally, we have The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and here the 250K Plus finishes off the gaming benchmarks on a high note, besting the 9600X by a 14% margin when comparing the average frame rate for the medium data, or an incredible 32% increase seen when looking at the 1% lows, and we're seeing much the same using the very high quality preset. Okay, so across the 14 games tested, the 250K Plus was on average just 2% faster than the 9600X, seen when looking at the medium quality data, or 3% for the ultra quality data. That made it just 4% slower than the 9700X and 9% slower than the 14900K, but it was also 6% faster than the 265K and an impressive 12% faster than the 245K. So in terms of gaming performance, the new 250K Plus and 9600X look to be very much neck and neck. Now here's a look at CPU power consumption, and we'll start with the Cinebench results. Under full load, the 250K Plus consumed 154 watts, just a 7% increase over the 245K for a 25% increase in performance. Then, when compared to the Ryzen 5 9600X, the 250K Plus consumed 57% more power, but it was also 85% faster. So for this particular workload, the Intel CPU is far more power efficient. As for gaming, we're looking at similar power usage between the 250K Plus and 9600X in Cyberpunk 2077. We're seeing the same 91 watts consumed by both parts in Space Marine 2, which is an impressive result for Intel given the 250K Plus was faster here. It was also faster in Spider-Man 2, though it did consume 11% more power, but given it was 24% faster using these quality settings, that is another impressive result. Now, like previous Core Ultra 200 series models, these updated parts still support 200S Boost, Intel's one-click overclocking option, similar to AMD's PBO. Usually, these one-click overclocking features don't do that much, but I thought we'd take a look anyway. Starting with Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, we see that enabling 200S Boost on the 250K Plus does virtually nothing, and this is the same result for PBO on the 9600X. The 245K did enjoy a very small 3 to 6% boost in our testing, but even so, with a 6% boost, the 250K Plus was still 5% faster using the very high quality settings. Marvel Rivals provided mixed results, though what did remain consistent was the 250K Plus and its lack of gains with 200S Boost enabled. Meanwhile, PBO boosted the 9600X by a mere 2% using the medium settings, or 5% using Ultra. Then we have the 245K, which was up to 6% faster, but still much slower than the stock 250K Plus. Finally, we have Rainbow Six Siege, and we're seeing more of the same here. 200S Boost does very little to nothing for the 250K Plus, though having said that, it does boost the 245K by a rather substantial 12%. But even so, those gains aren't enough to fully close the gap between it and the new 250K Plus. Now, the gaming performance we've seen from the 250K Plus has been very strong, particularly for a $200 processor. And the good news is you don't require ultra premium CU-DIMM memory to unlock the results shown in the video. In fact, we found that for the most part, at least for the games that we tested, you can achieve a similar level of performance using DDR5 6000 CL30 memory. For example, as you can see here, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, we're seeing no more than a 3% performance decline, which still places the 250K Plus ahead of the 9600X. We did see up to a 5% performance loss with DDR5 6000 in Marvel Rivals, but again, the 250K Plus was still faster than the 9600X when both CPUs were using the same spec memory. Then in Rainbow Six Siege, we're looking at less than a 2% performance hit for DDR5 6000 when compared to 8200, though in this example, the 250K Plus was already trailing the 9600X. So there you have it. The Core Ultra 5 250K Plus is a highly efficient, blistering fast productivity CPU with gaming performance that rivals AMD at the same price point. When compared to the Ryzen 5 9600X, I think it's safe to say that without a question, the 250K Plus is the better $200 US offering. It's just better at basically everything, and this is also the frustrating thing about it. It's frustrating because, technically speaking, there's nothing new here. The 250K Plus is merely a reconfigured 200 series processor. So that is to say, it's based on the exact same Arrow Lake architecture. There's no technological breakthrough that has made the 250K Plus being as impressive as it is possible. Rather, Intel just did a much better job of getting the formula right this time. For example, if you compare what Intel's offering now to what we got back in late 2024, we first received the Core Ultra 5 245K for $310 US, while the 265K was priced at $400 US. And sure, productivity performance was still very good, but gaming was very weak, and at the time we knew there would be no future CPU architectures featured on the LJ1851 socket. Today, using the same CPU architecture, Intel's offering a 6% performance increase for gaming over the 265K, and they're doing so for half the price. You're also getting, on average, 12% better performance than the 245K, and that particular part also cost 55% more when it was released. And it's not just gaming, you're also getting 25% stronger productivity performance when compared to the 245K, while it's just 10% slower than the 265K, again for half the price, making the 250K Plus a considerably better offering. That being the case, the 250K Plus is what Intel should have led with about a year and a half ago now, and had they done that, I think the Core Ultra 200 series might not have been the disaster that it ultimately turned out to be, and as a result, I fear that this thing is going to be kind of a case of too little too late. And don't get me wrong, for those seeking a powerful productivity PC on a budget, the 250K Plus should be the go-to option. For gaming, it's also a great budget choice, though for the same money the 9600X is comparable, and of course you do get an actual upgrade path with that one, either to one of the existing X3D chips, maybe they'll go on sale in the future and become a really good deal, or to a future Zen 6 processor. The 250K Plus is really a CPU for those after a platform upgrade or an entirely new system, and if you happen to be in a position where you're making that choice, doing so with a dead platform is a tough one. But like I said, for heavy productivity, it is worth making, as you'd need to spend considerably more with AMD to get a similar level of performance. Think the 9900X, which is almost twice the price. Of course, there is the elephant in the room, DRAM and NAND flash pricing, assuming you don't already have DDR5 memory, which I have to imagine you don't if you're considering an upgrade to the 250K Plus. And if you are looking at memory, well, you'd have to be spending around $450 US for a 32GB kit, and that's twice the price of the 250K Plus. So at that point, spending a little bit more on your CPU to get a feature such as platform support, for example, well, that becomes a lot less of a concern. But ignoring all of that external noise, if it simply came down to the choice of a computer running either the 9600X or the 250K Plus, I would pick the 250K Plus every single time. And that does give me some hope for Intel's next generation Nova Lake CPUs, which are expected to be released later this year. And I suppose that's yet another reason for why these updated models are poorly timed. Anyway, that is going to do it for this video. If you liked it, you know what to do. Subscribe for more content. Of course, we will have the 270K plus review coming up very shortly. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed for that. Also, we have the join button on Patreon if you want to become a Harbour Unboxed member. That will give you access to our exclusive Discord server, monthly live streams, behind the scenes content, and Q&A related stuff. So check that out if you're interested. If not, that's perfectly fine. And I would like to thank you for watching this video. I'm your host, Steve. See you again next time.